All right, everyone, we are here with another championship transformation, another client that worked with us for the last 6 weeks, who's done phenomenal, lots of benefits besides not just, weight loss and everything, but also mentally and also physiological. But I'm going to let her tell her story. What is your name?
Okay, my name is Lacy Wiggin, and
Lacy. And how old are you, Lacy?
I don't want to tell my age. I'm 5'0".
All
I
right,
don't
we're
want to put
around.
me out.
It's all good. We're around that age. We're around that age.
Yeah,
Good, good.
yeah.
And what is your occupation?
Well, I work in IT. Prior to joining the gym, I actually lost my job. So I just said, you know what, I've got the time. Let me focus on myself. And I'm so glad I did.
Good, love it. So you were in IT, so I'm assuming like a lot of sedentary work, sitting around.
Yep,
Okay,
definitely,
cool. So,
definitely.
so, so then tell me what your life was like before joining the challenge and joining us.
Well, prior to that, I think I had a extremely stressful type of lifestyle. Reason being because I had been on a 24/7 desk. So I had different shifts. So I had to be working, from the morning till, a certain time, and then the shift would change. And then
Mhm.
for my new job, which was a good break, I actually was working 9 to 5, but I still was feeling the after effects of a shift system because I didn't give myself enough of a break.
Mhm.
And prior to that, I was like struggling to lose weight. I was struggling with like probably 195 pounds.
Okay.
And I was walking a lot. And although I was walking, it's like my weight wouldn't budge. So I was doing a lot of long distance walking. So I could do like 10,000 steps, roughly maybe 3, 4 times for the week, depends on, how I
Okay.
felt. But even though I felt my legs getting stronger, I still wasn't seeing any change in my weight.
Mhm.
I know that the walking actually helped to build up my stamina, my, energy levels, but I realized I needed to get some help with the other aspect, which was my nutritional background. I said, I don't think I'm eating the right foods or eating properly. And I said, let me just find somewhere that can help me to make that weight loss go lower. So that's what I
Okay.
did. Yeah.
Good. So you're at 195. You walked every day, hit 10,000 steps, but weight wasn't moving. And you knew it was nutrition, but did you try any diets prior to working with us at
No,
all?
I was just trying. Most I was trying was probably lowering my sugar intake. So I was
Mhm.
swapping from sugar to honey. Um, but anything
Okay.
else in terms of like carbohydrates, I was trying to make the difference, but it just and I didn't know much about a diet. And I was like,
Okay.
oh, I didn't believe in diets. I didn't really want to try it. But I said,
All
you know
good.
what? Let's give it a try this time around.
Good. Okay. So you knew it sounded like you didn't know what to do and you just
Yeah,
needed a
that
clear
was it.
blueprint.
That was
So,
it.
so let's talk about this. I mean, you went from shift work, then you went sitting. You were walking a lot, which was really good, but your weight was stuck. How did that make you feel?
Um, I was kind of worried because I realized, okay, um, I've had situations where I was extremely stressed to the point where I had an extremely high blood pressure, 180 over 120, and it got me into the hospital. The
Oh,
walking controlled the blood pressure, but I said, I'm getting older. I need to be more proactive with making sure that I'm as healthy as possible and making sure that the older I got, the more in tune I was with my own healthcare and making
mhm.
sure that I wasn't just sitting doing nothing about it. I had to take a step to make sure that, whatever happens, I did my best to keep myself as healthy as possible.
Good. So was there a moment where you were like a frustration or even like, unhappiness that says, I have to do something? Because it sounds all logical. You were like, my blood pressure's high, I'm getting older, but what made you be like, I gotta do this?
Um, I think it was there's a point where I'll put it down to this. I lost my mom at a young age. And I said I didn't want that happening to my kids also. I wanted to be around for as long as I could. They're teenagers. And I wanted to make sure that I was healthy for them. And if I could have control over some form of longevity, then I had to do it for them. My son also he was overweight. And I said, no, I think in order for him to make that change, maybe I needed to make the change and then he would follow. And I just said, no, I've got to do something about it, because I've been trying for at least 2 years, because when COVID came in, I said,
Mhm.
okay, let's start walking, doing a lot of walking,
Mhm.
but it wasn't working. I lost 5 pounds, but it wasn't anything significant to say, okay, I'm getting healthy. And I was going up and down with the weight. And I just said, no, this has got to stop. I was frustrated, and I said, no, I need to make that change and put that effort into making sure I was well, my kids were well, and making sure that it worked out to the benefit of not just me, but for them too.
Yeah. Lacy, I love that message, because you led from the front. You led by example,
Thanks.
which is, I think, the main reason why you did this, because that, as being a leader in the household, their example will follow. So love that message. So let's go to the challenge. So you did the challenge. How much weight did you lose?
I lost, I think it was 16 pounds. I wanted it to be more. I think I got sick for 1 week, but it wasn't anything to do with the challenge. And I was like, okay, if I hadn't been sick, I think I would have lost probably close to 20. And I know when I came into the challenge, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this because I have to invest in myself, because no one else is going to do it except me. And I've got to push myself as much as I can. And initially I was like, I wonder if there's these hormonal things that were preventing me from losing weight. And I said, you know what? Let me try first. If it doesn't work, then I go to the medical side and say, there's something else that's affecting me. And the first week I was given the cleanse, I'm like, oh, it is, you have to remind yourself that you're doing it for you. That was what kept pushing me. And I know the cleanse was mainly fruits and vegetables. And, you had the shakes in between. The shakes kept me going, that's for sure. But I realized that I had to stick to it, because I saw the benefits. I started losing, like I lost 2 pounds, and I was like, oh, I've been struggling to lose the 2 pounds and keep it going. And then I lost another. I was like, okay, I have to stick to this, because I need to make sure I do it for myself, because I can do it. And I just kept pushing. So that was the first week.
Love it. So 16 pounds, even though you lost a week being sick, that's still phenomenal, considering for 2 years you had trouble even losing 5,
Yes.
which is phenomenal. So we're hard on ourselves, right? Because we always think more, but we got to look at our circumstances too. So I think you've done phenomenal. You've lost the weight. Aside from the weight, though, let's talk about emotional changes, energy changes. What's been like some of the, well, let's break it down. What has been some changes besides the weight that you've experienced positively from the
I'll
challenge?
tell you one thing which I didn't expect. I started to get stronger in a mental point of view. And I'll tell this to you. I was hesitant about a few things that were going on in my life at the time. But as I continued with the program, I started feeling it's like a force that was like, yep, I am stronger, not just physically, but mentally. I was like, I could take on the world. There's some things that were challenging me personally. And it's like, I don't know what it was, but something actually came at me in that midway. And it's like I felt this burst of strength, and I stood there. Maybe I was thinking mentally too. And I was like, you can't do this to me. You can't touch me. And I just felt so positive, and I just walked away, and I was like, damn, I think there are other benefits too. It's like you not only get that physical change, but mentally it's like strengthening your mind to push forward through any adversities, any challenges. And I felt it, and I said, good, I think this is what's pushing me, because I felt that strength just pushing me through. And I just said, yep, keep on doing this. And yeah, that was one. Psychologically, physiologically, I always had a problem with menstrual cramps. I'm slightly embarrassed, but I'm going to tell because somebody else might be listening. I've had so many treatments that have not worked. Some have worked, but some have worked with risk of possibly cancer, and I just said I didn't want to have additional hormones added to my body. And I just said, maybe I just need to exercise. Now, what surprised me towards the last part of the 6-week challenge was that, yeah, their Auntie Flo turned up. That's what I call her. I'm sorry. And
So
I
good.
was in the frame of mind going, okay, here we go. Pain pills. I'm like, okay, gonna be in bed for a day. Oh, dear Lord. And all of that, reminders were coming through. But then the first day happened and I was like, okay, something's wrong. And then the second day happened, I was like, hold on. I was pain-free. And, a friend of mine who always checks in on me and she's like, how are you doing? And I was like, shh, I don't want to talk too much because something's happening here and I'm not too sure what it is. But yeah, that was the other benefit. And I was like, yeah, I need to keep doing this challenge and keep on going back to the gym because
That's amazing.
that was a relief, a scared relief, because I was like, I've been trying to deal with this issue. And so, yeah, that was a really significant benefit. So, yeah, I was so glad I did it.
Two things I want to touch on. Like I'm getting goosebumps listening to you. First off, the willpower muscle is the
Yes.
one you built. Like the fact that you are more resilient mentally. And I think it goes into it flows into the second one you're talking about, where you don't have menstrual cramps anymore. It's almost like that mental resilience, like flowed into your physiologically as well.
Boy, it sounded like it, because it's like I had it's a force. That's all I can describe it. That force that was there mentally, because I've had to deal with, it's like I've got an issue where someone keeps coming at me to devalue my whole being. And when they came at me again, I just said, no, dearest. I was like, guess what? You're the problem. And it's like I just let that flow through. And I had that confidence. And when I was done, I was like, I've dealt with you. And I walked away, because prior to that, I was like hesitant, like, not too sure. So that kind of, it's like a force that was in me. And I think with what I did with the boxing and the kickboxing, I know I was focusing on certain things that were stressing me out, and I was using those punching bags to release that stress. And I think releasing that energy, I developed the positive energy. And when that negative energy came to me, I just bounced it away and just said, ta-da, bye-bye.
You became a fighter. You literally fought back against all those negative feelings and emotions. It's funny how the physical reflects so much to the mental. Lacy, I love this message.
I never thought that would have happened. It was a surprise to me, because it's like that confidence is like a different type of a muscle that was developed. And I'm like, okay, I need to keep working on this. So yeah.
Love it, Lacy. So I want to bring you back to the very beginning, back before you joined with us. And I'm sure you're probably a little bit skeptical about doing the challenge, because you've tried things before, you weren't sure about it, but you did it anyways. What is something that you would say to someone who was in the same position as you, to get them to actually commit and make this commitment investment into themselves?
You said the right word. If anyone who's thinking about this and they're hesitant, remember that it's only about you, no one else. You come into this program and you start doing it, the investment is in you. You're putting yourself first. A lot of times, all the people don't do that. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't putting myself first. I was putting everyone else. And then I had the little detrimental stuff that happened afterwards. And I realized I needed to put me first, because if I didn't put me first, it's like putting on your oxygen mask before you put it on to your child. And I realized that if I put that oxygen mask on first and invest in me, I am making sure that whatever strength I've got, I can help somebody else. I can push someone else on. I can help my kids. And I know I was skeptical, because I was like, I wonder if this is going to work. I mean, everything else that I've thought of, and I've been skeptical for 2 years. I have seen this program for 2 years, and I was like, not too sure. Maybe. I'm like, they're going to be doing certain. They're like, nah. But then when I reached a point and I said, okay, I think I need to do this for me, and I needed to try. And I think at the end of it, I just said, I've benefited. not only have I benefited, my son benefited because he had a little mental breakdown one day. He didn't want to go to school because he was just being stressed at school. And it's something which I'm glad it happened, because he was so stressed that day and he just couldn't function at school. And I think a lot of parents forget that, they get their stresses too during the day, and they have bad days where you have to pay attention to it. And, that day I said, how am I going to get him out of this mood? And I said, you know what? I said, Theodore, come with me. And he's like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay home. And I said, trust mommy, just come with me. Now, prior to that, I'd gotten an invite to give him, 2 free classes, but I couldn't get him to come because he was just on his games, and I was just struggling. I was like, can't do about that. But that day, I remember that I came in and I saw Joe, and I told Joe, and I was like, I need your help. I'm trying to get this out of him. I'm trying to get, and I felt, because of what I was benefiting and how I was feeling, I said, I think even if he just comes into one session, he will feel good too. And I remember Joe was showing him around, and he kind of cried, and he went into the bathroom, and he came back out, and we were trying to boost his, his old self-esteem and mood. And gradually he went into the class, and I think it was a 5th session. And, he was kind of apprehensive because I think he is, how do I put it? I think he's kind of self-aware of his weight. He's a tall guy, but he weighs a lot. And I think he was kind of feeling uncomfortable coming in too. And I said, come on, honey, just trust mommy, work with me. This is going to help you. At the end of the time, I'm sure you're going to feel good. And when he came in, he was covered up in his jacket, and he was like, and then we started doing some exercises, and I think it was Sean and Chris, they started to talk to him, and, he picked up one of the 10-pound weights, and they're like, no. They gave him, I think, 16 pounds, and he's like, ooh, and they're like, wow, you're strong. And they're just, boosting him on. And midway in the class, I saw something which I said, good. He smiled, and I said, that's all I wanted. And by the end of the session, the guys were high-fiving him, and he started laughing, and then making jokes. And I said, yeah, that's what I wanted. So from me coming in to invest in myself, I've also extended it to my son. I'm trying to extend it to the other child. But if you're going to do it, remember, you're not the only one who's going to benefit. Your family's going to benefit. If they come in, they'll feel good. There's that good feeling that you'll get when you do this. And remember, it's only for you and your health, and they'll benefit too. And I will just say, take a chance. I know there's, a slight cost to it, but it's for you. Do it for you, and everything else will fall into place. And it's like good karma coming into this whole thing. So yeah, give it a chance just for yourself. It's only for you. You'll reap the benefits. I tell you that.
Love it, Lacy. This was it's been a phenomenal interview.
Thanks.
It's just watching the journey and getting to meet even your son through all this and seeing the benefit and the transformation you've had is phenomenal. But aside from the weight loss, I think the true transformation is identity shift. And I think that's what's changed for you. It's like now that you're the type of person that works, you're the person that fights, you're the person who's resilient. And that's really the true championship transformation. Lacy, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'm so pumped that you're part of the Fight Fam.
Yeah, I am too. I'm glad.
I'm
so glad, definitely.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks again, Joe.